Since childhood, my literal girl next door, and the undisputed beauty queen of our school, had cried rivers begging to marry me. But growing up changes people. She conveniently forgot our forever and always childhood promise. Instead, she turned her back on me and fell head over heels for some random blonde punk. Right from their first meeting, she started skipping class, dyeing her hair, and following him to shady bars. Naturally, her grades nosedived straight into the Earth's core. No matter how much I tried to advise her or pull her back, she wouldn't budge. In the end, during a massive argument between them, I threw my body in the way to block a blade that the blonde punk aimed straight at her. But as I lay in the hospital, covered in wounds and gasping for my last breaths, Chloe actually blamed me. She looked at me with a face full of resentment and said I was the reason her precious boyfriend was going to jail. Swallowing the bitter taste of utter betrayal, I closed my eyes. When I opened them again, I found myself back on that exact day. The day Chloe skipped class with him for the very first time. Her clear, entitlement-laced voice pulled me back to reality. "Mac, what are you spacing out for? Hurry up and give me my breakfast." I looked down at the breakfast bag in my hand, but I didn't move an inch. The next second, the corner of my lips curled up into a smile that carried way too much hidden meaning. "Who said this breakfast was prepared for you? Do you honestly think you deserve to eat it?" My voice was a mix of absolute liberation and heavy sarcasm. Chloe froze. She had never heard me speak to her in that tone before. It was as if I had morphed into a completely different person. In my previous life, on this exact day, after taking the breakfast from me, she skipped school with Chad. From then on, she spiraled downwards. No matter how much I tried to intervene, she wouldn't listen. Chad, annoyed by my interference, started taking his revenge. He ordered his lackeys to harass me, tear up my study materials, and even spread rumors that I cheated on my exams. Thanks to that, my grades plummeted tragically. I was supposed to get into an Ivy League level university, but I ended up at a completely average, second-rate college. Right now, hearing my response, every single classmate turned to look at me with wide eyes. Before Chloe confessed to Chad, everyone admired our childhood sweetheart bond. No one expected her to choose that blonde delinquent in the end. Noticing the stares, Chloe frowned, unable to hide her irritation. "Mac, do you even know what you're saying?" Just as she finished speaking, her phone vibrated in her desk with a ding. I knew exactly what it was, a text from Chad asking her out. Sure enough, after reading the text, her face lit up with a smile she couldn't contain. She shot me a glaring look. "Mac, I'm in a good mood today, so I won't argue with you. I'm stepping out for a bit. Make sure to cover for me with the teachers, okay?" Saying that, she turned to walk out of the classroom, but I called out, stopping her dead in her tracks. "Chloe, I'll give you exactly 1 day to return the $3,000 you owe me." "What? Since when do I owe you money?" "From middle school to high school, I've brought you breakfast exactly 900 times. Oh, and include the phone I bought for you. Hand it over." "Why are you being so petty?" she sneered. "I'm petty?" I let out a cold laugh. "Why don't you ask yourself, in all these years, what have you ever given me? Pay me back. From now on, we keep our distance. My simp era is officially over." Hearing the whispers of our classmates, Chloe felt thoroughly humiliated. "Fine, I'll pay you back. We are totally done." Her family was quite wealthy, she never lacked pocket money. But over the last few days, just to please Chad, she had bought him a new phone and even a motorcycle. Paying me back meant she'd have barely anything left. But to save face in front of her peers, she gritted her teeth and transferred the money. After Chloe stormed out, I looked around the familiar classroom and suddenly realized something amazing. My memory had reached a photographic level. I could remember every single classmate's name and every textbook I had ever read. Is this the legendary cheat code of rebirth? I smiled to myself. Living a second time, I absolutely refused to be anyone's doormat. Relying on my memories from my past life, I was going to make sure Chad's reputation was dragged through the mud, and Chloe would have to live with the bitter taste of regret. Outside, Chloe was fuming. "I just went out to have some fun once. Did he have to make such a big scene? I didn't even do anything wrong. Chloe, let's go." A blonde guy, looking like a textbook delinquent but admittedly handsome, walked over. Despite being a walking red flag to everyone else, Chad was a flawless prince in Chloe's eyes. She smiled brightly and followed him out of school. Back in the classroom, the rhythmic sound of high heels echoed in the hallway. It was Miss Turner, our homeroom teacher. Her eyes quickly scanned the room and locked onto Chloe's empty seat. She frowned, then looked straight at me. "Mac, come to my office for a moment. The rest of you, self-study." I was about to stand up when my phone pinged. I opened it to see Chloe had just posted an update on social media. In the photo, she was sitting on the back of a motorcycle, her hair blowing in the wind, her arms wrapped tightly around the blonde guy's waist. She was smiling like she had won the lottery. Looking at the photo, I felt exactly zero heartbreak. Honestly, I just found it hilarious. Since she got a phone, I had never made a single appearance on her feed. Yet, after knowing Chad for a few days, there he was. I smirked, hit like on her post, unpinned her from my chat list, and put her on Do Not Disturb. Good riddance. Out on the main road, the motorcycle engine roared. Chad and his gang of lackeys were speeding down the street. The lackeys looked at Chloe and teased, "Chad, sister-in-law is gorgeous. Finding a girl like her, I wouldn't mind dying tomorrow." Hearing the flattery, Chad's ego inflated to the size of a hot air balloon. He loved the feeling of being worshipped. Choosing Chloe as his girlfriend was basically just a trophy move to show off to his boys. But right now, Chloe wasn't having as much fun as they were. Experiencing high speeds and adrenaline for the first time, her initial excitement was quickly replaced by sheer panic. Seeing the numbers on the speedometer climb, she started to tremble. "Chad, you're going too fast." Chad laughed loudly. "Fast? You haven't even seen my real speed yet." And with that, he accelerated. The cold wind howled in her ears, and her fear intensified. Her eyes reddened. For some reason, an image of me popped into her head. Subconsciously, she opened her messaging app, wanting to text me to come pick her up. But opening her phone, she saw that I had liked her post. Chloe froze. She couldn't figure out what I was thinking. Hesitating for a moment, she typed a few words against the strong wind. "Mac, I don't blame you for this morning. Can you come pick me up?" The message was sent, but no reply came. Chloe felt a wave of crushing disappointment. In the past, I would reply to her within seconds. Why was it like this now? The wind got stronger, the scenery blurring past. Tears welled up in Chloe's eyes. She choked out a voice note. "Mac, please answer me. I'm so scared." Chad turned around, saw her pitiful state, and his heart softened a bit. He slowed down. But right at that moment, a rock appeared out of nowhere under his front tire. Despite his quick reflexes, the motorcycle skidded and crashed. Chloe screamed as she hit the pavement hard. Her knee was scraped badly, blood instantly staining her leg. She sat there in agony. But looking up, she saw Chad wasn't running to check on her. He was frantically trying to pick up his motorcycle first. Her heart filled with disappointment and anger. Only after making sure his precious bike wasn't heavily damaged, and hearing a reminder from his lackeys, did Chad finally turn to look at Chloe. Seeing her pathetic state, he panicked. "Babe, are you okay?" Tears streamed down Chloe's face. She ignored him completely. Chad hurriedly apologized. Hearing his sweet words and looking at that handsome face, her disappointment faded slightly. "My knee hurts so much. I don't want to ride that thing anymore. Take me back to school." Chad, feeling guilty, quickly helped her up. "It's all my fault. I'll take you back to the school nurse immediately." Meanwhile, I followed Ms. Turner into her office. "Mac, I need to talk to you," she said. "Miss Turner, is this about Chloe?" I sat down and asked directly. "You're sharp. I heard she skipped class this morning. Is that true?" I nodded. "Chloe has a lot of potential. I don't want her academic future ruined over petty teenage drama. You two are close, so I hope you can talk some sense into her." I kept my face completely neutral. "Teacher, you know the reason why she left. She won't listen to anyone right now. Besides, this is her choice. From now on, I have zero interest in getting involved in her business. In my past life, I literally paid with my life to prove that no matter how hard I tried, I couldn't change her." Miss Turner looked a bit disappointed but seemed to understand. "Being betrayed hurts. Who wouldn't be upset?" She sighed, dropped the subject, and reminded me to focus on my college entrance exams. Before I left, she mentioned one more thing. "Recently, a student from the arts track is transferring to our sciences class. Try to help her out, okay?" I was slightly confused. In my previous life, there was no transfer student. Still, I nodded. Understood. I walked back into the classroom just as the bell rang. I barely sat down when Vivian, Chloe's best friend from the next class over, came rushing in. Our relationship was far from friendly. In my past life, whenever I tried to do something nice for Chloe, Vivian would act as the gatekeeper, constantly setting up tests and obstacles for me. Right now, she looked frantic. "Mac, have you seen Chloe? I can't find her anywhere." I couldn't help but laugh out loud. "Vivian, do you honestly have the IQ of a room temperature goldfish? Am I her dad? How would I know where she went?" Vivian was stunned. She never expected me to talk back with such attitude. My deskmate, Harry, frowned and chimed in. "You're her best friend, and you didn't even know she skipped school this morning? Why are you bothering Mac?" Turns out Vivian was late to school today and missed the whole drama. A student nearby filled her in. Hearing the story, Vivian turned to me, furious. Mac, it's definitely because you didn't give her breakfast. You made her sad, that's why she skipped, I smirked. Like I said, no brain cells. I've cut ties with her. Whether she eats breakfast or eats dirt is none of my business. Just then, the next teacher walked in. Vivian glared at me with pure venom before scurrying back to her class. Harry patted my shoulder. Don't let her get to you, bro. Don't let her words shake your resolve. In our past life, Harry had seen through Chloe's true nature early on and constantly warned me to stay away from her. When I failed my exams, he was the one who helped me out. He was genuinely worried I'd fall back into my simp habits. I shook my head. I don't know anything about her business, and I care even less. Don't mention her again. Hearing this, Harry smiled brightly, looking like a weight had been lifted off his chest. I pulled out my notebook and started drafting a web novel. The year was 2012, the golden age of web novels. After a morning of thinking, I decided to write my first book, The Flawless Realm, an absolute masterpiece from my past life that even got an anime adaptation. With my photographic memory, I remembered every single comma. All I had to do was act as a human printer. By the end of the period, I had finished the first chapter. I just needed to go home and upload it. Suddenly, Vivian's annoying voice rang out again. Mac, Chloe is hurt. Come help her to her seat. I frowned and looked toward the door. Vivian was supporting Chloe, whose face was pale as a sheet. First time skipping school and she already got herself injured. Classic. Seeing me sitting perfectly still, Vivian stomped her foot. Mac, you are too much. She's hurt and you don't even care? Chloe's face grew even paler. She looked at me, her voice trembling. Mac, do you really not care about me anymore? What did I do wrong? I'm hurt. It hurts so much. Aren't you even going to ask if I'm okay? I scoffed. Chloe, what exactly is our relationship that requires me to care about you? You literally just got a new boyfriend, didn't you? Resentment flashed in Chloe's eyes. What do you mean by that? I mean exactly what I said. I'm not your dad, I'm not your mom, and I'm not your boyfriend. I have zero obligation to babysit you. Vivian couldn't take it. Why are you being so petty? Even if she has a boyfriend, you two are childhood friends. Do you have to be so cold? I already told you, her business has nothing to do with me. Stop bothering me. Chloe looked utterly defeated. Mac, you've changed. You've changed so much I don't even recognize you. Those words were so ironic they physically hurt. Yeah, I changed. But who changed first? In my past life, because of a promise made when we were 8, I sacrificed my future and my life. I gave her everything, and in return, I got a look of pure hatred as I died. I looked at her, my voice dripping with mockery. We've known each other for years, Chloe. Who changed first? You know the answer better than I do. Chloe froze, looking at me like I was a complete stranger. Mac, acting like this will only make me hate you. Oh? Did you ever actually like me? That question sent her into a panic. Did she ever like me? Maybe. But she liked the version of Mac who was top of the class and acted as her loyal, personal butler. She lowered her head, unable to say a word. Vivian helped her to her seat. Chloe, he's just being petty. We don't need to pay attention to him anymore. Chloe sat down slowly, wincing as the wound on her knee flared up. Suddenly, Vivian gasped. Oh no! I forgot to get your medicine from the nurse! A guy sitting behind them immediately jumped up. Chloe, I'll go get it for you. Being the school beauty, Chloe never lacked guys willing to be her errand boys. Looking at the acne-faced guy in front of her, she couldn't even remember his name. But just to spite me, she forced a sweet smile. Thank you. Sorry for the trouble. The guy looked like he had just been blessed by an angel and sprinted off. Vivian headed back to her class. Soon enough, the guy brought the medicine. Chloe took it and purposely waved it in my direction, as if to flex that, even without me, she had plenty of options. I didn't even bother to look up from my notebook. Furious, she let out a cold humph and looked away. Right then, the sound of high heels approached the classroom. Chloe panicked. Would the teacher find out she skipped? She instinctively looked at me, silently blaming me for not covering for her. Miss Turner walked in, and Chloe's worst nightmare came true. Chloe, come to my office. She tensed up. Yes, Miss Turner. Then she purposely faked a pained expression and cried out, ouch! Miss Turner looked at the bandage on her knee and frowned. Fine, we'll talk after your wound heals. Harry watched this entire performance with absolute disgust. Since when was she this manipulative? He turned to me. Hey, my brother and sister are coming back this Sunday. Let's go grab a bite. If you hit it off with my sister, you can call me brother-in-law. I laughed and shoved him. Bro, we're seniors in high school. Who has time for romance? Just then, a strange noise came from the hallway. I looked out and saw a flash of blonde hair. It was Chad. My eyes narrowed. He was the direct cause of my death in the previous life. This time, I wasn't going to let him step all over me. I took a deep breath to calm down. In my past life, to expose his true nature to Chloe, I had secretly gathered evidence of his crimes. The worst being an incident where he beat a kid so badly the kid became permanently disabled. I needed to gather that evidence again, much earlier this time. I pulled out my phone and texted my uncle. He was a highly successful self-made businessman, worth billions, easily matching Chad's family wealth. "Uncle, can you help me investigate something?" I briefly explained the situation, put my phone away, and looked at Chad outside the window. "I'm going to make you pay for everything you did, not just to me but to everyone you stepped on." When the school bell rang, I packed my bag to leave. Suddenly, Chad blocked the classroom door, a single red rose clamped in his teeth, striking a pose towards Chloe. "Babe, I'm here to pick you up." Chloe wanted to stand up, but seeing the disdainful looks from the entire class, she felt too embarrassed to move. Chad frowned, then noticed me trying to leave. He flipped his ridiculously bright blonde hair and provoked me. "Oh, if it isn't the genius Mac, just so you know, Chloe is very happy with me." He expected me to lose my mind. Instead, I just curled my lip, gave him a look of utter pity, and spat out 2 words, "Absolute moron." Chad clenched his fists, grinding his teeth, ready to swing at me. Right on cue, the dean's voice boomed, "Chad, why are you blocking the door? Get moving!" Chad jumped. "Yes, sir!" "I was just looking for Mac," the dean sneered. "If you have academic questions, come to my office. If not, get lost." Chad shot me a death glare and slinked away. I slung my backpack over my shoulder and headed out. Unexpectedly, Chloe called out, "Mac, wait! My leg still hurts. Can you take me home?" I acted like I had suddenly gone deaf and walked straight past her. Chloe watched my cold, retreating back, tears falling like broken pearls. "Jerk! I hate you!" I rode my bike home. Looking at my familiar front gate, a wave of guilt hit me. In my past life, my parents had high hopes for me, but my mediocre college results almost gave them a heart attack. This time, I was going to be their pride and joy. After a nice family dinner, I went to my room, booted up my PC, and started typing. Writing this novel was basically just copying and pasting from my brain. My typing speed was insane. In just 2.5 hours, I cranked out 20,000 words. 10 chapters done. I was browsing for a platform to upload it to when a pop-up ad appeared. I was about to close it, but the text caught my eye. Tomato Novels, 80-20 revenue split for authors. Authors retain all electronic, film, and media rights. I checked out the site. It looked standard, but with the sheer quality of the Flawless Realm, it would blow up anywhere. I registered an account, uploaded the first 12 chapters, and hit apply for contract. At that exact moment, in a luxurious mansion, Harper stood alone on her balcony, staring into the distance, waiting for her parents. Her cousin Grace walked up behind her. "Harper, let's go back inside. Your parents probably aren't coming home tonight." Disappointment flashed in Harper's eyes, but she stubbornly shook her head. "I know they're busy, but they promised they would come home today." Grace's heart ached. She knew this seemingly strong girl was desperately craving her parents' love. Harper's father, Mr. Harrison, was a billionaire workaholic. It was the exact reason her mother had divorced him. "Let's just go to your room. Maybe they'll be back later." Harper quietly nodded and followed Grace inside. Lying next to her cousin, she curiously peeked at Grace's phone. "Grace, aren't you the CEO of Tomato Novels? Why are you reviewing manuscripts yourself?" Grace offered a bitter smile. "The company is about to go bankrupt. What kind of CEO am I? I thought taking over would turn things around, but I severely overestimated myself." She tossed the phone aside and sighed in defeat. Harper looked at the screen. There was one manuscript left unread. Why not read the last one? The Flawless Realm, that sounds cool. The title is a bit too poetic, doesn't fit the current market trends. Even if it's poetic, someone put effort into writing it. "Just read a little bit?" Grace looked fondly at Harper, picked up the phone, intending to just skim and reject it. But as she read the prologue, she froze. The world building was epic, the characters were distinct, avoiding all the typical cliches. The plot was engaging, the prose masterful. Grace read all 12 chapters in one breath and was left craving more. "Grace, this character is so cute!" Harper, experiencing web novels for the first time, was fascinated. Grace excitedly kissed Harper's cheek. "Harper, you are my lucky star." Harper blushed. "Why are you so excited? We don't even know what happens next." Harper's words grounded Grace slightly, but to save her platform she knew she had to bet everything on this one novel. The next morning, I booted up my PC and typed until 10 p.m. Looking at the 80,000-word draft, I smiled in satisfaction. By tomorrow, I'd have enough words to hit the official publishing requirements. I checked my phone. A message popped up. It was Chloe. "Mac, I'm so bored. Can you chat with me for a bit?" I replied coldly. "Didn't you say we were completely done? Why are you texting me?" In a smoke-filled internet cafe, Chloe was sitting next to Chad, who was intensely gaming. Seeing my reply, a faint smile appeared on her lips. "I only said that because I was mad yesterday. Let's just forget it, okay? From now on, you're still my good brother." I stared at the text, utterly speechless. She still thought I was her personal simp. Just throw me a bone and I'd come running back wagging my tail. "Chloe, if you don't have anything important to say, don't bother me. If you do have something important, still don't bother me." Seeing that, Chloe furiously threw her phone on the desk. She had lowered herself to apologize. Shouldn't I be begging for her forgiveness immediately? Chad noticed her throwing a tantrum. "Babe, what's wrong?" He reeked of cheap alcohol and stale cigarettes. Chloe covered her nose, disgusted. "Chad, I'm tired. Take me home." Chad shook his head. "Babe, I haven't finished this raid yet. Let me take you home later." Hearing that, Chloe felt a pit in her stomach. In the past, if she said jump, I'd ask how high. Now she asked Chad 10 things, and he might do 3 if he feels like it. "But I'm really tired, and my clothes smell like smoke." Chad laughed. "You want to go home? Sure. Just help me top up my game account first so I can clear these mobs faster." Looking at his face, Chloe eventually caved and nodded. Chad smirked inwardly. Asking her for money was just his way of testing her boundaries. Every time he pushed, she yielded. He had successfully taken the good girl out of school, got her into an internet cafe, and next he planned to take her to a club to get a tattoo. He was going to completely ruin her image until no one believed she was a good girl anymore. Then she would be entirely dependent on him. At 2 a.m., Chloe woke up to find Chad passed out on the keyboard. She felt a wave of immense grievance. Didn't he say he'd take her home after the game? The smell of smoke was unbearable. She stormed out of the cafe and walked to a fancy hotel nearby. But when she swiped her card, it was declined. Insufficient funds. Hearing the receptionist's polite but awkward explanation, Chloe's face burned bright red. If Mac hadn't forced her to pay back that $3,000, she wouldn't be broke right now. She only had a few bucks left in her pocket, not even close to enough for a room. It was 2 a.m. Who could she even call? She had lied to her parents, saying she was at a sleepover. If she called them for money, her lie would be exposed. Feeling the receptionist's judgmental gaze, she made a lame excuse and practically ran out of the lobby. On the empty street, she sat on the curb and burst into tears. The next morning, inside the Harrison mansion, Grace was frowning heavily during an emergency video conference. She had decided to push all marketing resources toward the Flawless Realm and wanted to sign an exclusive contract with the author immediately. But I hadn't logged in, and the back-end staff couldn't reach me. They were sweating bullets. After the meeting, Grace rubbed her neck and walked out onto the second-floor balcony. In the distance, she saw Harper's lonely silhouette. Harper turned around, her eyes red. "Grace, I'm so sad they promised. Why do they always break their promises?" Grace stroked her hair gently. "They're just busy with work. They probably won't make it today." "Work, work, work! It's always work! They never think about me!" Harper wiped her tears. "I don't want to follow their rules anymore." "Grace, isn't it true that alcohol makes you forget your sadness? Can you take me to try it?" Grace looked conflicted. "Harper! Today is your birthday. Fine, I'll let you be rebellious for just one day." Meanwhile, I was staring at my 80,000-word manuscript. A call from Harry reminded me that we had plans today. After agreeing on a meeting spot, I hurried out the door. In front of the Starlight Bar, Chloe got off Chad's motorcycle. She didn't trust his words like before. The memory of last night still made her sick. "Babe, don't be mad. Yesterday was my bad. Today, I brought you here to have some real fun. What do you think?" Chloe hesitated. "Is this place dangerous?" "Dangerous? Nah, let's go in." She completely missed the sleazy glint in his eyes. Right as they walked in, a sleek black Rolls-Royce pulled up elegantly outside. The door opened, and Harper excitedly jumped out, followed by Grace. "Harper, maybe we should go somewhere else?" Grace suggested softly. This bar was actually owned by Harper's father, Mr. Harrison. While it wasn't dangerous, if he found out his daughter was drinking here, he'd hit the roof. But Harper acted like she didn't hear her and pulled Grace inside. The bar manager saw them and practically had a heart attack. "Miss! What are you doing here?" "Don't worry, my dad won't blame you." Grace stepped up and whispered to the manager, "Don't tell my uncle. She's never drank before. You know what to prepare, right?" The manager wiped his sweat and nodded furiously. Shortly after, A beautiful fruity cocktail was placed in front of Harper. She took a curious sip. The sweet mix of juice and a hint of alcohol danced on her tongue. Her cheeks flushed. Grace shot the manager a deadly glare. The manager frantically gestured that it was virtually alcohol-free. But suddenly, Harper downed the entire glass in one gulp. Tears unexpectedly streamed down her face. Her only wish was for her parents to spend one day with her. Yet it never came true. She began crying, venting years of loneliness. Seeing this, the manager panicked and called Mr. Harrison. "Boss, the miss is here. She looks heartbroken and is crying hysterically." On the other end, Mr. Harrison's voice spiked. "Harper is there? I'm coming over right now. Keep an eye on her." He immediately bolted out of his office. On the other side of the bar, Chad flagged down a waiter. "Is that Long Island iced tea ready yet?" A Long Island iced tea sounds like an innocent beverage, but it's notorious for being heavily spiked with multiple liquors. It tastes sweet, but it knocks you out cold. You wake up the next day missing chunks of your memory. Chloe looked curious. "Chad, did you order me tea?" "Actually, I think I could try a little alcohol," Chad smirked. "I was worried you couldn't handle real drinks on your first try." Before the drinks arrived, a middle-aged man rushed into the bar. His eyes scanned the room and locked onto Harper. The manager hurried over to him. Mr. Harrison frowned. "Free drinks for everyone today. Close the bar early. Get everyone out." The manager nodded and announced it. The patrons cheered and left happily. Chad was furious. His perfect opportunity to get Chloe drunk was ruined. But he didn't dare cause a scene, so he reluctantly let her out. Mr. Harrison walked over to Harper and snatched the glass from her hand. "What kind of nonsense is this? Come home with me." Grace quickly intervened. "Uncle, today is her birthday. She's been waiting for you and Auntie to come home all week, but you both let her down." Harper glared at her father coldly. "Don't bother talking to him. He doesn't care. Grace, let's go." Mr. Harrison froze. He had forgotten his own daughter's birthday. He grabbed her hand. "Harper, Dad was wrong. I broke my promise. I don't believe you anymore. You only care about work." She ripped her hand away and ran out the door. Those words stabbed Mr. Harrison like a knife. He remembered his wife walking out on him years ago for the exact same reason. By the time he snapped out of it, Harper was already outside. At that moment, Harry, his brother Ben and I arrived outside the bar. Ben had heard about my heartbreak and dragged me here to cheer me up. But seeing everyone leaving, we found out they were closing early. Just as we were about to leave, I saw Chad and Chloe walking out. Great. Just my luck. Chloe saw me and scoffed, still holding a grudge about my cold attitude the other night. As I turned to leave, a girl came sprinting out of the bar and crashed straight into my chest. I looked down at the girl in my arms. "Watch where you're going. Why are you crying?" Seeing her tear-streaked face, I sighed. "Are you okay? Do you need to sit down?" Hearing hurried footsteps approaching from behind her, the girl grabbed my hand tightly. "I'll pay you. Be my boyfriend for one day?" I blinked, instantly refusing. "No way. How do I know this isn't a scam?" I tried to walk away, but she yanked my arm. "I'll give you $10,000. Just be my boyfriend for one day. If that's not enough, I'll pay more." Looking at her head-to-toe designer clothes, I deduced this was a certified rich girl. 10 grand wasn't chump change. My entire net worth was barely a few $100. If I took that 10 grand and invested it in Bitcoin right now, I'd be set for life. I nodded so fast I almost got whiplash. Hesitating for another second would be highly disrespectful to that 10 grand. "I'm Mac. Where to, boss?" The girl held my hand, looking anxious. "I'm Harper. Just play along with whatever happens next. Don't say anything." Mr. Harrison stepped out of the bar. Seeing our intertwined hands, his face turned the color of thunder. "Harper, who the hell is this punk?" "He's my boyfriend." Grace, who had just caught up, was equally shocked. "Since when did she have a boyfriend?" Mr. Harrison looked ready to commit a felony right there on the sidewalk. Harry and Ben stood off to the side, jaws dropped. "Holy crap," Harry whispered. "Mac has a secret girlfriend, and she's a total 10. My heart was doing backflips. This was way too intense. First minute on the job, and I'm already beefing with her billionaire dad. Mr. Harrison glared at me. "I don't care if you're her boyfriend or not. Get lost." Harper scoffed. "We're leaving." She dragged me away. From a distance, Chloe watched the entire scene unfold, her eyes wide with shock. Mac has a girlfriend? Why is there another girl next to him? Even though she was with Chad, she had always assumed I would just be waiting around for her forever. He must be doing this just to make me jealous. Playing hard to get. Harper dragged me down the street. The silence was awkward. I finally broke it. "So, fighting with your dad?" She nodded. "Judging by how he just acted, he seems to care about you a lot." Hearing that, Harper's tears started falling again. "You don't get it. He only cares about his work. He never cares about how my mom or I feel. She let go of my hand and hailed a cab. I sighed, rubbing my temples, and chased after her. Even putting aside the fact that I couldn't leave a crying girl alone, I was legally obligated to protect my $10,000. We got in the cab. Harper didn't know where to go. She just stared out the window with red eyes. I told the driver to just cruise around the city. The driver looked at us in the rearview mirror, clearly assessing the situation. Young man, you need to coax your girlfriend when she's upset. Life is full of hurdles, you just gotta talk it out. Harper kept her head down, tears silently rolling down her cheeks. I smiled awkwardly and handed her a tissue. We arrived at the riverbank, and Harper asked the driver to pull over. She wanted to walk. The driver gave me a parting tip. Kid, make sure you comfort her properly. I laughed. Will do, sir. I turned to Harper. Shall we take a stroll, girlfriend? Hearing the title, Harper's ears turned pink. We're only faking it for one day. I smiled softly. The day isn't over yet, is it? Since I took your money, I'm going to provide premium boyfriend services. The river reflected the city lights. We walked slowly. You hired me to make your parents mad so they'd pay attention to you, right? Harper looked at me, a mix of surprise and innocence on her face. How did you know? I chuckled. It's not exactly a mystery. I'm guessing they're always working, never around, so you pulled this stunt to force them to look at you. Am I right? Harper went silent. A tear slipped down her cheek. A month ago, they promised they would spend this week with me. But today was the last day, and it's my birthday. I was slightly taken aback. So it's her birthday. This poor rich girl had everything but a family. If you go home tonight, I bet they'll drop everything and rush back. But a forced appearance isn't what you really want, is it? My words hit the bullseye. She didn't want obligated attendance. She wanted genuine warmth. She sighed helplessly. What else can I do? If I don't do this, they won't even call, let alone come home. She suddenly grabbed my arm. Mac, what should we do to make them believe we're actually dating? I tilted my head and smiled at her. Eat, walk, take photos, watch a movie. Where do you want to start? Girlfriend? Her heart raced, her cheeks burning. I've never dated before. I don't know. Then leave it to me. I pointed at the shimmering river. Let's take a selfie and post it. Sound good? She nodded. I stood close to her. Smile, come a bit closer. You're halfway out of the frame. Harper hesitated, then slowly leaned her shoulder against mine. Just as we touched, I snapped the photo. The awkward but undeniably sweet moment was captured forever. Harper looked at the picture. She looked shy, but her eyes were sparkling. She quickly posted it to her social media, then looked at me. Mac, let's add each other. I'll transfer your money now. I pulled out my phone. Oh, my sweet girlfriend. Aren't you afraid I'll take the money and run? She shook her head. I trust you. You don't look like a bad guy. I stayed quiet. True, I wasn't a bad guy, but this girl was way too trusting. She was practically a walking target for scammers. Hearing me call her sweet, she gave a radiant smile. Looking out at the river, despite not having her parents, she felt a strange sense of peace. All thanks to the guy standing next to her. Thank you, Mac. I smiled back, enjoying the calm breeze. It had been a while since I felt this relaxed. The last time I was here was in my past life, with Chloe. Back then she had said, Mac, we'll always be together, right? While Harper and I enjoyed the view, Mr. Harrison was experiencing a full-blown meltdown. Seeing the photo of his daughter practically glued to some random kid, his eyes bulged out and he gripped his phone hard enough to crack the screen. She wasn't answering his calls. Is she really with that punk? The thought made him dizzy. He immediately mobilized his contacts to search the entire city for us. Meanwhile, Harper's mom, Lily, saw the photo and actually smiled. This kid doesn't look half bad, but he still needs to be tested. If he fails, he's out. Harper's phone rang endlessly until she finally just turned it off. We walked to a high-end restaurant nearby and grabbed a window seat. During dinner, I learned that Harper used to have poor health. She had attended high school for a bit before dropping out to be homeschooled. Coincidentally, she had been enrolled at my exact school. Looking at the feast on the table, Harper shyly asked, Mac, can we take another picture here? I smiled and agreed. Click. Harper looked at the photo and giggled. After we ate, I asked her what was next on the agenda. She hesitated. I want to go shopping for clothes. I looked at her perfectly tailored designer dress. You need more clothes? She looked away, embarrassed. I wanted to pick out some outfits for you. I stood in the men's boutique, absolutely bewildered, as she pulled out outfits for me. I have plenty of clothes. You don't need to. You paid for the taxi and the dinner. Buying you clothes to say thank you is normal, isn't it? She argued, looking overly excited. She picked out a few fits that genuinely elevated my whole vibe. When I stepped out of the fitting room, she waved her hand like a true boss. This one is great! and the other ones he tried on. I'll take them all. I immediately turned to the cashier. She's paying for this outfit I'm wearing. I'll put the rest on my card. But I wanted to gift them to you, Harper protested. I shook my head. I don't want to look like I'm leeching off my fake girlfriend. Did you want to buy anything for yourself? She shook her head, her eyes shining as we left the store. Boyfriend, let's go to the arcade. I've never been to one. We headed to a crowded arcade. While everyone else was swarming the fighting games, Harper locked her eyes on a claw machine in the corner. She pointed at a pink teddy bear. That bear is so cute. Let's try getting it. I dropped a coin in. Harper stood rigidly next to me, her eyes sparkling with anticipation. I moved the joystick, grabbed the bear, but it slipped halfway to the chute. She looked visibly deflated. Don't worry, let's try again. She nodded, focusing even harder. This time, I perfectly aligned the claw and dropped the bear right into the prize slot. Harper jumped up and down, cheering like a little kid. Thank you, Mac. This bear is for you. Then I'll win that pink bunny for you. I perfectly maneuvered the claw and dropped the bunny into the slot on the first try. Harper clapped her hands and hugged the bunny tightly. Thank you, boyfriend. Seeing her so genuinely happy, I realized this moment felt incredible. It was a feeling Chloe had never given me. We played around the arcade, laughing like a real couple. By 10:30 p.m., I told her, Harper, it's getting late. Let me take you home. She stopped playing, looking at her phone filled with missed calls. I don't want to go back. But she knew her goal was achieved. Going back now meant facing her parents. She looked at me, a hint of sadness in her eyes. Today is my birthday. If I go back, they'll throw a party for me, right? You're Harper. Don't look so down. I pulled a goofy face, making her burst out laughing. Her phone rang again. It was her cousin Grace. Harper answered it. Harper, thank God you picked up. Where are you? I'm coming to get you. Harper gave her the address and hung up. I smiled. Looks like your ride is here. I didn't prepare a gift today, so I can only offer you my best birthday wishes. She beamed, holding up the bunny. I already got my gift and my wishes. Thank you, Mac. Your sister is almost here, so I'll head out. See you around. Wait, boyfriend. I haven't transferred you the money yet. Harper grabbed my hand, looking reluctant to let me go. I held up the pink bear and the shopping bags. These more than cover it. She stood there silently, watching me walk away. A few minutes later, Grace pulled up. Seeing Harper hugging a stuffed bunny, she jumped out of the car. Harper, do you know how worried I was? I'm fine, Grace. Look at this bunny, isn't it cute? Grace sighed in relief. Did you win that? No, Mac won it for me. Grace frowned. Harper, there are a lot of bad people out there. You don't even know this guy. What if he had bad intentions? Mac is a good guy. He goes to my old high school too. He just left. He can't be far. Let's drive and catch up to him. Meanwhile, I was walking down the street, logging into the novel platform on my phone to check my upload. My jaw dropped. The app was flooded with red notifications. A message from an editor said I was eligible for a contract. Wait, didn't they only review drafts on Mondays? The editor-in-chief had even left a direct message asking for my contact info. Truly, The Flawless Realm was a certified banger, no matter what timeline I was in. Grace was driving Harper around trying to find me, but I was nowhere to be seen. Assuming I went home, Grace was about to turn around when the editor-in-chief called her. They had finally made contact with me and forwarded my info to Grace. As Grace was talking on the phone, Harper was busy transferring the $10,000 to my account via a banking app. Before Grace could stop her, the transfer went through. At that exact second, my phone rang out on the sidewalk next to their car, followed by a loud automated voice. Ding! You have received a transfer of $10,000. Grace jumped. What a coincidence. I stopped walking and answered the call. Hello, who is this? The car window rolled down. A gorgeous, cold-looking woman stared at me. Her voice came out of the phone and the car simultaneously. It's me! Harper leaned over from the passenger seat, waving happily. Mac, we meet again! I gave an awkward smile to the woman. Hello, ma'am! Are you Harper's mom? Hearing me call her ma'am, Grace's eyes widened and her face turned frosty. Is this guy for real? But she maintained her composure, eyeing me coldly. You're Mac. Tell me, what's it going to take for you to leave my sister alone? Hearing this young mother speak, my brain instantly supplied every trope from every K-drama I had ever watched. But since Harper actually sent me the 10 grand, I had to keep up the act. I couldn't let her mom find any flaws. I looked her dead in the eye, my voice unwavering. Ma'am, Harper and I are truly in love. No matter what happens, I will never leave her. The moment I spoke, Grace stealthily turned on her phone's voice recorder. She spoke slowly, her tone carrying a fake politeness laced with disdain. I've seen plenty of boys like you. You say it's true love, But in the end, isn't it always a scam? My feelings for Harper are real. I'll prove it with my actions. Harper quickly chimed in. Mom, Mac treats me really well. Just give us a chance. Grace kept up her guard. How did you two even meet? We met back in 10th grade. Even though she was only at the school for a month, she was so smart. We always discussed homework together, and eventually, we fell for each other. Oh? So your grades must be excellent then? Academics was my absolute stronghold. I replied with total confidence. I'm always at the top of the school. Sometimes I rank first in the entire city. Grace studied my confident demeanor, thinking to herself, no wonder he could write a novel with such massive world building at this age. But outwardly she said, good grades aren't enough. I understand. I may not have money right now, but that doesn't mean I won't in the future. Grace softened slightly. I believe you can make money. But I hope you're not just using my sister for some quick cash. Thinking back to my day with Harper, I realized that meeting someone you actually like during your youth is a massive blessing. In my past life, my youth was supposed to be sweet, but because of Chloe, it was dark and lonely. Now, getting a second chance and meeting Harper, I felt my efforts were actually being reciprocated, something Chloe had never done for me. At that moment, I realized something. True love is never a one-way street. Looking at Harper's flushed face, a warm feeling spread through my chest. I looked at Grace with absolute determination. Meeting Harper is the luckiest thing that's ever happened to me. I promise you, I will treat her right. Hearing my words, Harper's heart skipped a beat, her ears burning red. She had never felt this magical connection before. Grace watched our reactions and stayed silent. Could they really have caught feelings after just half a day? She regained her composure. Where do you live? I'll drive you. No need, I can take a cab. Get in. I gave her my address and slid into the back seat. Harper immediately hopped out of the front and squeezed in next to me. Boyfriend. I glanced at her, then motioned towards Grace with my eyes. Your mom is literally right there. To my shock, Harper burst out laughing. You still haven't figured it out? This is the cousin I told you about, Grace. She's not my mom. How could she look this young and be my mom? I wanted the earth to swallow me whole. I had assumed her parents married super young, or her mom had insane anti-aging genetics. Calling her ma'am earlier was monumentally embarrassing. Grace chuckled. Mac, don't worry. If you're sincere about Harper, my aunt is very easygoing. Though my uncle is a bit traditional, he might be a tough boss to beat. I took a deep breath. Thank you, Grace. I understand his concerns. I'll work hard to improve myself until I earn his approval. Harper's heart melted, and she squeezed my hand tightly. Soon, the car stopped at my intersection. Harper waved at me brightly. See you in a few days, Mac. I waved back and started walking the rest of the way home. As I passed a dark alley, someone suddenly grabbed my shoulder. My reflexes kicked in. I spun around and threw a blind punch. Ouch, Mac, are you crazy? A familiar voice shrieked. I squinted. It was Chloe rubbing her arm in pain. It's just you? I thought you were a mugger. Chloe was furious. Do I look like a mugger to you? And that girl today, she's your new girlfriend, isn't she? She glared at me. Is that any of your business? Go home, Chloe. I turned to walk away. Watching me leave, she stomped her foot in a rage. Mac, you hit me, you need to apologize. If you don't, I'm telling your parents. She looked smug, expecting me to stop. I did stop, but I turned around with ice in my eyes. Do whatever you want. But Chloe, you don't want your parents to know where you were these past 2 days, do you? She went pale. If her parents knew she wasn't at Vivian's house, but at a club and an internet cafe with Chad, they would ground her for life and force her to cut ties with him. If you don't want them to know, stop bothering me. She couldn't argue back. Frustrated tears filled her eyes. She stomped her foot and ran all the way home, trying not to cry out loud. Once in her room, she saw the pink bunny I had won for her years ago. She grabbed it and punched it a few times. Jerk! Mac, you are the worst! Then she buried her face in her pillow and sobbed. Just then, her phone rang. It was Vivian. Chloe! You haven't hung out with me in 2 days. I'm dying of boredom. Thinking back on the last 2 days, Chloe forced a smile. Even if she was annoyed, she still had fun with Chad. I was hanging out with Chad. He's actually really sweet. He knew I hadn't drank before, so he ordered me a Long Island iced tea. Vivian, who was lounging on her bed, shot up like she had been electrocuted. A Long Island iced tea? Chloe, are you sure? Chloe was confused. Yeah? But the bar closed early, so I didn't get to drink it. Vivian let out a massive sigh of relief. Oh my god, girl! Are you that naive? A Long Island iced tea is basically pure alcohol mixed to taste sweet. 1 glass and you'd be blacked out. Chloe froze. Remembering the sleazy look in Chad's eyes at the bar, a chill ran down her spine. Did he plan to do something to me? She hung up and looked at the moonlight pouring through her window, tears silently falling. Thinking about her time with Chad, the initial thrill was completely gone. The way he treated her was practically garbage. The more she thought about it, the more she regretted everything. Her eyes drifted toward the direction of my house. She didn't eat the cake. Instead, she ran upstairs to Grace's room, forwarded the voice recording of my confession to her mom, and went out to the balcony to call me. "Mac, you're the author of The Flawless Realm, aren't you?" I laughed. "Wow, you and Mr. Harrison run some deep background checks, huh?" Grace chuckled. "You think my uncle and I are the FBI? I'm the CEO of Tomato Novels, the site I uploaded to." I was genuinely shocked. "Are you serious?" "I am, and I see massive potential in your book. Sign an exclusive contract with me, okay?" "Wait, is your company in trouble or something?" Grace laughed. "You're too smart. Just sign the contract, keep updating regularly, and I will plaster your book on every front page banner we have." I took a deep breath. If you're offering that, I'd be an idiot to say no. After hanging up, I looked at Tomato Novels, a platform I had never heard of in my past life. It felt like the butterfly effect was in full swing, and I was the butterfly. Time flew. A week after signing, The Flawless Realm hit 200,000 words. Grace kept her word and pushed it to the moon. The novel exploded. The plot had readers in a chokehold, and the site traffic skyrocketed. Grace's phone was ringing off the hook. Harper put down the printed manuscript she was reading. "Grace, why is your phone blowing up today?" Grace pinched her cheek. "Ask your boyfriend? That book you told me to read? The one he wrote? It's literally breaking the internet right now." Harper gasped, covering her mouth. "Wait, my boyfriend wrote this?" "Yep. The IT department just told me our servers are about to crash from the traffic. Your guy is a genius." Harper beamed with absolute pride. During that same week, Chloe was going through it. She had ignored Chad for a few days, but eventually caved to his relentless begging. Then, under his pressure, she made an impulsive decision to get a tattoo. Almost immediately after it was done, intense regret set in. If her dad found out, he'd end her. If her classmates saw it, she couldn't even imagine the gossip. Her first instinct was to Google how to get it removed. Finding out laser removal was a thing, she finally breathed a sigh of relief. The next morning, I got a text from Harper saying she had a surprise for me today. But no matter how much I asked, she wouldn't fill. I rode my bike to school. As I locked it up, a black Audi Q7 pulled up to the gates. The window rolled down, revealing Chloe's dad, Mr. Carter. He smiled. "Mac, long time no see." "Morning, Mr. Carter. You're dropping her off today?" He smiled helplessly. "Chloe's mom forced me to." "Chloe, go walk in with Mac." Chloe got out, looking thoroughly annoyed. Mr. Carter waved and drove off. I ignored her and walked straight toward the building. She huffed. "I'm not talking to him until he apologizes. Let's see who cracks first." We walked to class in dead silence. Back at our desks, Harry leaned over with a wicked grin. "Dude, you're a legend. I thought you were dying of a broken heart, but you secretly bagged a 10-10 girlfriend?" I rolled my eyes. When was my heart ever broken? "Move. Let me study." The teacher was lecturing passionately, but Chloe was zoning out. She was stressing about her tattoo and the fact that she had argued with Chad until 3 a.m. Just as she was about to doze off, the teacher called on her. "Chloe, come up and solve this equation." She jumped up, looked at the board, and panicked. She had completely forgotten the standard formula and had to use a painfully long, convoluted method to solve it. The teacher nodded slowly. "Correct, but next time, try using the standard formula. It's much simpler." Chloe flushed. Going out with Chad for a week had practically wiped her brain. Later, during Miss Turner's literature class, she was called on to recite a poem. She stuttered through it, only finishing because the acne-faced guy whispered the lines to her. She thanked him and stared at her desk, lost in thought. 20 minutes later, the click-clack of high heels approached. Miss Turner walked in with a bright smile, followed by a stunning, elegant girl. The new girl stood at the podium, instantly stealing all the oxygen in the room. Chloe gripped her pen, thinking she looked awfully familiar. The class erupted in whispers. Harry's eyes nearly popped out of his skull. "Sister-in-law?" He violently shoved my shoulder. "Mac, look, it's her." I looked up at Harper standing at the front of the room. My jaw literally dropped. Harper saw me and flashed a radiant smile as if saying, "Surprise!" Miss Turner clapped her hands. "Quiet down, everyone. This is Harper." She was in the arts track in 10th grade, but due to health reasons, she was homeschooled. Now she's back. Hearing the name, Chloe instantly realized this was the girl who dragged me out of the bar. "Why is she here?" Seeing my happy expression, Chloe's blood boiled. Harper realized she's more suited for the sciences track, so she's transferring to our class, Miss Turner explained. After Harper's introduction, Harry looked around the room. The only empty seat was in the back corner. He grinned evilly. Mac, for the sake of your future happiness, I will make the ultimate sacrifice. Don't waste this assist, bro. Before I could figure out what he was doing, Harry raised his hand. Miss Turner! Harper has a weak constitution, right? Sitting in the back corner might be bad for her. She can have my seat. Mrs. Turner beamed. Harry, what a gentleman. Mac, make sure you help her get caught up. I'm heading to the back. Harry grabbed his books and bolted, winking at me on the way. I shook my head, half annoyed, half amused. He was still the ultimate wingman. Harper walked over and sat down, giving me a sweet smile. Hi, Mac. Please take care of me from now on. Welcome back, Harper. Ask me if you need help with anything. She leaned on the desk, tilting her head. Is there anything you don't know, Mac? Her adorable gesture made me look away quickly. Of course, there's an ocean of knowledge out there. You're from the arts track. I'll be asking you for help too. Harper leaned in close to my ear and whispered, Boyfriend, let's study hard together. I leaned back and whispered, Aren't you afraid people will hear? Just call me Mac at school. She blushed a deep red and giggled shyly. Suddenly, a classmate tapped Harper's shoulder. Hey, pass this note to Mac. Harper hesitated, then handed me the folded paper. Someone sent you a note. I opened it. It was Chloe's handwriting. Mac, I realize I don't really like Chad anymore. Can we just pretend none of this happened? I read it, ripped it into confetti, and tossed it into the trash can. Chloe watched me do it, and nearly bit her lip off in anger. Since the monthly exams were coming up, the class atmosphere was tense. Harper and I constantly discussed problems, encouraging each other. Our bond grew stronger every day. I genuinely loved this dynamic. Harper was gentle, thoughtful, and shared the little things with me. She was nothing like Chloe, who always acted like a spoiled princess waiting to be served. Watching us, Chloe felt physically sick. She had ignored Chad for days and had practically offered me an olive branch, but I treated her like invisible air. Seeing me smile at Harper, she finally snapped. After school, Chloe stormed over to my desk. Mac, you used to say you only treated me well. I forbid you to smile at her, and I forbid you to be nice to her. I looked at her blankly. Chloe, do you hear yourself? You sound insane. Why on earth would I listen to you? Harper, remembering the ripped-up note, understood the situation perfectly. She smiled politely at Chloe. Chloe, I understand you might have special feelings for Mac, but true relationships are built on mutual respect. Please respect Mac's choices. Chloe glared at her. What are you implying? That I don't respect his choices? Harper smiled faintly. Isn't it obvious? Harper, I demand you switch seats with me. I let out a cold laugh. Chloe, seats aren't musical chairs. If you want to switch, go talk to Miss Turner. Chloe flinched. Go to Miss Turner? She was already on thin ice for skipping class. That would be walking straight into the lion's den. She stomped back to her seat, buried her face in her arms, and started crying silently. Mac, you jerk. What does she have that I don't? That afternoon, during the 2-hour dinner break before evening self-study, I looked around the room. It was empty except for Chloe, who was still burying her head in her desk, and Harper sitting next to me. Let's go grab food, Harper. I'll give you a grand tour of the school while we're at it. Even though Harper wanted to go, she was worried about my exams. Mac, you don't have to. We've got plenty of time. Let's go. As we stood up, Harper glanced at Chloe. Should we wake her up? I didn't even turn my head. No need. She has a best friend and a boyfriend to worry about her. We're not needed. Hearing our footsteps fade away, Chloe lifted her head. Her eyes were bloodshot as she watched our backs. Mac, you jerk. Why do you like her and not me? I gave Harper the grand tour. When we reached the sports field, she looked at the students playing with absolute envy. What sports do you like? I asked. She lowered her head. I was always sick, so my parents never let me play sports. I don't really know. Sorry, I shouldn't have brought it up. She looked up and smiled brightly. It's okay. I'm much healthier now. I can play easy stuff. Then I'll teach you ping pong when we have free time. We walked to the geography garden, where terrain models were displayed. As an ex-art student, Harper came alive. Mac, thanks for showing me around. Now let me show you my turf. She passionately pointed out the models, explaining everything from the Himalayas to the Mariana Trench. Her storytelling was so captivating, she basically transported me to another world. Harper, you're an amazing storyteller. Way better than our actual geography teacher. Oh stop, I'm not that good, she said, though she looked incredibly proud of herself. We grabbed food and headed back to class. My phone rang. It was Uncle Tom. I told Harper to go ahead and stepped outside to take it. Did you get the evidence on Chad bullying the other students? I asked eagerly. Uncle Tom's voice was steady. Yes. I had my guys recover the security footage his family tried to destroy. and gathered witness statements. I'll send it all to you now. Awesome. Thanks, Uncle, he chuckled. I've been sick of the Sterling family's arrogance for a while now. They brought this on themselves. He brought up the student whose leg was broken by Chad. The student's mother worked at the Sterling family's factory. Forced to work insane overtime, she got her arm caught in a machine and had to have it amputated. Instead of paying her medical bills, the factory blamed her for damaging equipment and demanded millions in compensation. I took a deep breath. Uncle, that's pure evil. I'm going to leak Chad's bullying videos online and alert the media. Once the public is focused on him, you drop the bomb about the factory to bury the Sterling family for good. Hanging up, I remembered the blade Chad had thrust into my chest in the past life. I smiled grimly. Receiving the files from Uncle Tom, I used a burner account to blast them all over the internet. Inside the classroom, Chloe was feeling humiliated. Chad had just come to find her, but when a classmate accidentally bumped into him, Chad completely lost it and started beating the kid up. Luckily, a patrolling teacher intervened and dragged Chad to the office. But the whispers in the classroom were relentless. What is wrong with Chloe? She dumped Mac for a literal thug. Seriously, talk about a downgrade. Must be nice to be completely blind. Chloe felt like she was being sliced open with a scalpel. She finally started questioning if picking Chad was a colossal mistake. Before the bell rang for dismissal, I felt someone staring. I looked up to see Chloe looking at me. When our eyes met, she quickly looked away and hurried out with Vivian. Vivian even had the nerve to stick her tongue out at me. Chloe just sighed and followed her. I turned to Harper. It's late. Let me walk you home. Harper blinked. Just walk me to the gate. Honestly, she didn't want to go home to an empty house. We walked to the main gate. A Rolls-Royce honked twice. Harper looked at me nervously. Mac, do you want my driver to take you home? I shook my head. I'm good. I got my bike. She waved and hopped in. Suddenly, Chloe's voice called out, Mac. I saw her standing alone on the sidewalk, looking pathetic. But I acted like I was completely deaf, grabbed my bike, and started walking away. Chloe's eyes filled with tears. Her parents were busy tonight and couldn't pick her up, so they told her to catch a ride with me. But I didn't even acknowledge her. Thinking about the dark walk home, she panicked and ran to block my path. Mac! Take me home! I didn't even look at her. Why on earth would I do that? My parents are busy. My mom told me to go with you. As she spoke, the streetlights at the intersection suddenly flickered and died, plunging the area into darkness. Please, Mac. I'm scared. My only response was the sound of my bike chain clicking as I pedaled forward. Use your phone flashlight. I'm busy. Chloe watched me disappear into the dark, feeling completely abandoned. She remembered Vivian's ridiculous warnings. Chloe, walking alone at night is dangerous. What if you get kidnapped by thugs and sold to a creepy guy in the mountains? She stood there, shivering, too terrified to take a single step. As I rode towards my house, a Mercedes pulled up next to me. The window rolled down. It was my dad, Arthur. Dad, what are you doing here? He smiled. Work ended early, figured I'd swing by. Where's Chloe? Mr. Carter asked us to drop her off. I stayed silent for a moment. She's back there. I'll go get her. Even though I despised her, our families were close. I couldn't just leave her in a pitch-black intersection. I turned my bike around. I found her crouched on the sidewalk, crying softly and muttering my name. Chloe, next time you need a ride, call an Uber. I'm not doing this again. She looked up slowly, her face streaked with tears. Mac, I knew you wouldn't leave me. I ignored her completely and started riding away. Her knee was still healing, so she limped painfully, trying to keep up. Looking at my back, she remembered all the times I had walked her home. Strangely, just having me nearby made her feel safe again. But my coldness confused her. Mac, you read my note, didn't you? She waited for an answer, but I gave her nothing but silence. She felt a profound, crushing loneliness, like an abandoned stray cat. When we reached my dad's car, I still didn't say a word. Chloe got into the passenger seat. My dad looked at me. Can't you open the door for her? She has hands. My dad's face hardened, realizing my mom was right. I really didn't like Chloe anymore. Chloe quickly intervened. It's fine, Mr. Arthur. I can do it myself. He sighed and started the car. 3 days later, the internet was burning down over the Sterling family drama. But Chad was strutting around school like he owned the place, assuming his dad's money would make it all magically disappear. During lunch, he came to our class looking for Chloe, but ended up picking a fight with another classmate. He brutally beat the kid down. The rest of the class was furious but terrified. Chad soaked in their fear, feeling like an absolute boss, smirking at Chloe to show off how tough he was. But Harper wasn't having it. She had already called the cops. Hanging up, she stood up and glared at him. How dare you bully people like this? Chad was about to curse her out, but when he saw Harper's face, he froze. He had been drinking earlier and hadn't realized a girl this gorgeous was in our class. He reached out, trying to touch her face. Harper slapped his hand away hard. Enraged, Chad raised his fist. Right at that moment, I walked into the room. I grabbed a massive, brick-like English dictionary and launched it straight at his head. Chad howled in pain. He spun around, saw me, and lost his mind. He charged at me, throwing a haymaker. I casually raised my hand, caught his fist mid-air, and twisted it sharply. "Ah! Mac, you piece of trash! You dare hit me? Do you know who my dad is?" I scoffed. "You assault people and still try to play the victim? So, what if your dad is Mr. Sterling? This is a school, not your personal playground." Chad gritted his teeth, wanting to throw out more threats, but the look in my eyes made him swallow his words. I looked over at Harper, giving her a reassuring nod. The entire class erupted into cheers, looking at me like a hero. Chad's face was purple with humiliation. Getting embarrassed in front of Chloe was the ultimate insult. "You're dead, Mac," he roared, trying to bolt out the door to save face. But I stepped in his way. "Where do you think you're going? The cops aren't here yet. Sit down like a good boy and wait for them." He struggled wildly. "I'm leaving. Who's going to stop me?" "I am." Miss Turner's voice cut through the noise. "Chad, you are accused of assault. You are not leaving until your parents and the police handle this." Panicking, Chad pulled out his phone. "Dad, I'm getting bullied by some kid in class." Hearing him call his dad, the class got excited. Everyone knew exactly what was about to happen. A few kids pulled out their own phones. "Hello, Dad? Yeah, cancel the contract with the Sterlings. Some blonde punk is assaulting people in my class. Auntie? Yeah, cut ties with the Sterling factory." Seeing the situation spiral, Chad was completely dumbfounded. In the principal's office, Mr. Sterling was currently discussing a massive donation for a new science building. Hearing his son's panicked call, he frowned, hung up, and glared at Principal Lewis. "Principal Lewis, my son is being bullied at your school. How exactly are you running this place?" Principal Lewis knew Mr. Sterling was ruthless, but this incident involved a lot of kids from powerful families. If he mishandled it, he'd offend everyone. "Sterling, I was just informed. We will investigate and handle it fairly." Mr. Sterling sneered. "Fairly? You know how much money I pump into this school. I expect a satisfactory answer." Principal Lewis took a deep breath. Losing the Sterling money would be disastrous. He hurried to the classroom. After hearing the students and teachers recount the event, he silently cursed Chad's entire bloodline. He never should have accepted this kid just for the donation. To save his own job, he looked at me and said, "Mac, let him go. Both of you step outside." Mums Turner looked disgusted. "Are you planning to sweep this under the rug, Principal?" "Everyone calm down," Lewis announced. "I will have Chad's parents take him home for discipline. He won't return until he corrects his behavior. As for Mac, go home for a few days to cool off." The classic suspend them both tactic. I frowned. If he did this, Chad would get off scot-free. The class was outraged. "Are you kidding me? Chad assaulted someone, and there's proof. Mac was just defending people. Why does he have to go home?" Lewis's face darkened. "Enough. I don't care who started it. Both of you go home and reflect on your actions." Chad smirked triumphantly. "See that, Mac? Now do you understand? A broke loser like you can't touch me." Principal Lewis cringed. This idiot kid really doesn't know when to shut up. Facing Lewis's blatant corruption, I stared him down. Chad openly assaulted a student and tried to attack me. The whole class saw it. I acted in self-defense. If you let him off just because his dad is a donor, where is the justice in this school? If you insist on this, don't blame me for exposing your negligence to the media. Lewis went pale. He never expected a high schooler to threaten him like this. In the internet age, public opinion was a lethal weapon. If I blew this up, he'd be forced to resign by tomorrow. He gritted his teeth, ready to compromise and expel Chad. But suddenly, Mr. Sterling burst into the room with a group of bodyguards. "Who the hell is Mac?" I stood my ground, staring right back at him. "Looks like someone's in a hurry, Principal." Lewis panicked. "Mr. Sterling, please, we are handling it." "Handling it? My son was attacked. How are you going to fix this?" Mr. Sterling turned to me. "You're Mac? I heard you're good at fighting. Let's see how tough you really are." Harper stepped in front of me, grabbing my hand tightly. I smiled at her. "It's okay, Grace." I looked back at Mr. Sterling with a cold smirk. Just as he spoke, the news about the Sterling factory's horrific labor practices was officially going viral online and hitting the desks of the authorities. The storm had arrived. "You think you own this city, Mr. Sterling?" I asked mockingly. "I don't own it. but crushing a bug like you is effortless," he sneered. "Apologize to my son right now, on your knees, or prepare to spend the rest of your life in jail. Mr. Sterling, you should really check the news. You might find a fun surprise." He ignored me, but suddenly his private phone started ringing. He felt a drop of cold sweat. Only absolute emergencies came through that line. "Boss! We're ruined! Everything leaked! The police are raiding the factory." Mr. Sterling dropped his phone. He remembered my words and glared at me like a demon. You did this, you little punk! Don't flatter me. Didn't you do those things yourself?" He ground his teeth, roaring, "Mac, you destroyed my life's work. Even if I go to prison, I'm taking you with me." He signaled his bodyguards to attack. "You've got a lot of nerve, Sterling? Thinking you actually run things around here." A booming voice echoed from the doorway. Mr. Harrison, Harper's father, strode into the room, flanked by the chief of police and several high-ranking city officials. Mr. Sterling turned around, saw the lineup of absolute powerhouses, and literally collapsed onto the floor. He knew he was finished. He turned and started screaming at Chad, blaming him for everything. The class burst out laughing. Dog biting dog. Chad was definitely getting expelled, and probably going to juvie. Chad, face flushed with panic, looked desperately at Chloe. "Chloe, you're my girlfriend. Will you come to the police station with me?" The entire class turned to look at Chloe with intense judgment. If she stuck with him now, she'd be treated like radioactive waste. Chloe backed away quickly. I'm not going." She had never truly liked him anyway. She only liked the attention she got from being with the bad boy. But now, being associated with him was a stain on her reputation. Seeing the disgusted looks from her classmates, she panicked. Chad couldn't believe it. His eyes filled with venomous hatred as he locked on to me. "Mac, this is all your fault." As the police moved in to escort him out, the class cheered. I followed behind to give my statement, but disaster struck in the hallway. Taking advantage of a distracted officer, Chad pulled a concealed switchblade from his jacket and lunged straight at me. Harper saw the flash of steel and screamed, "Mac, look out!" She lunged forward, trying to use her own body to shield me. Seeing her move, my pupils dilated. I grabbed her waist, spun us around, and pulled her tightly into my chest. Slice. The blade tore through my arm, leaving a deep, gaping wound. Thankfully, it missed any vital organs. The police instantly tackled Chad to the ground, pinning him as he screamed in pure rage. "Mac!" Harper saw the blood soaking my sleeve and burst into tears. "Mac, are you okay?" She ripped off her uniform jacket and tied it tightly above the wound to stop the bleeding. I forced a smile. "I'm fine. Don't cry." The students swarmed out, terrified and worried. Chloe stood frozen in the doorway. She never expected her rejection to trigger this. Guilt and horror swallowed her whole. "Mac, are you okay?" she cried out. The school nurse sprinted down the hall, doing some basic first aid. "It didn't hit an artery, but he needs to go to the hospital for stitches immediately." Mr. Harrison pushed through the crowd, grabbing Harper. "Harper, are you hurt?" "I'm fine, but Mac is bleeding." "Dad, get the car. We have to take him to the hospital." Hearing Harper call him Dad, Mr. Harrison felt a surge of overwhelming joy. He immediately ordered his bodyguards to help load me onto a stretcher. Harper walked right beside me, holding my uninjured hand tightly. "You're going to be okay, boyfriend. You'll be okay." I nodded, my face pale from the blood loss. Seeing that, Harper's tears fell even faster. At the hospital, I was rushed into the ER. Harper paced anxiously outside. For the first time in her life, someone had genuinely put their life on the line for her. She had tried to take the knife, but I had overpowered her to take the hit instead. She knew she would never ever forget the feeling of being protected like that. "Harper? Harper!" Chloe's voice echoed down the hall. "Is Mac okay?" Harper looked at her, her expression unreadable. "He'll be fine. Chloe, if you don't have anything else to do, you should go home. I'll take care of him." Chloe felt a knot in her stomach. "Mac and I are childhood friends. Our families are super close. Seeing him hurt breaks my heart." Harper's feelings were complicated, but she stood her ground. "If you want to wait, find a seat." Mr. Harrison walked over, his face etched with worry. "Harper, you're sure you aren't hurt?" She shook her head, staring at the ER doors. Mr. Harrison remembered the moment I shielded his daughter, and the bold words I had spoken to Grace the other night. He sighed heavily. "This kid is going to be fine." When I finally opened my eyes, I saw Harper standing by my bed, holding my hand, her eyes shining with unshed tears. "Mac, you're awake! Don't move, your stitches might tear." Mr. Harrison stepped forward, looking at me with a very complex expression. "Rest up, Mac." This ordinary-looking teenager had, in a split second of pure danger, risked his own life to save his daughter. I looked at the billionaire. In my past life, I only ever saw him on Forbes lists and news broadcasts. I'm fine, Mr. Harrison. Thank you for your concern. Mr. Harrison looked me dead in the eye. Mac, why did you take a knife for Harper? If he had aimed an inch to the left, you could be dead right now. I looked at Harper, my eyes full of warmth. Because Harper is the most important person in my life, I couldn't let her get hurt. My voice was unwavering. From the second she tried to jump in front of that blade, I knew I was completely in love with this girl who was willing to die for me. Just outside the slightly open door, Chloe heard every single word. Her heart shattered into a million pieces. The thing that used to be solely hers was now impossibly far away. And the worst part? She had pushed it away with her own 2 hands. Looking completely defeated, she turned and walked away like a ghost, disappearing down the corridor. At that moment, Lily, Harper's mom, came rushing into the hospital. Seeing Chloe's zombie-like walk, she paused. Why does that girl look like her entire world just ended? She shook it off and hurried into the room. Harper! She hugged her daughter tightly, eyes full of distress. You scared me to death. Mom, I'm okay. But Mac got hurt. Lily turned to me, her gaze evaluating but deeply grateful. You're Mac. Thank you for saving my baby. You are a very brave young man. I was surprised by her warmth. Thank you, ma'am. It was the only right thing to do. Mr. Harrison watched the interaction. Initially, he had completely written me off. I didn't have the background to give Harper a luxurious life. But today he realized, what is money? Did he lack money? Compared to the useless trust fund kids in his circle, I possessed courage and accountability. You can't buy that. Harper, go for a walk with your mother. Get some fresh air. I want to speak to Mac alone. Harper hesitated, glancing between us, before her mom gently pulled her out. Outside, Harper didn't see Chloe. Mom, did you see the girl who was sitting out here? I saw a girl walking away when I came in. Probably went to get some air. Inside the room, Mr. Harrison walked over to the window, seemingly deep in thought. He turned back, his gaze piercing. Mac, I'll admit I judged you prematurely. I didn't think you could bring Harper happiness. But today, I saw your bravery. That's something money can't buy. Mr. Harrison, I understand your worries, but please believe me. I will do everything in my power to make her happy. I believe your intentions are real, but good intentions aren't enough for me to hand my daughter over to you. I knew exactly what he meant. I had no money, no career, no status. If I hadn't literally bled for his daughter today, he wouldn't even be having this conversation with me. But his words were also an open door. If I hadn't been reborn, Harper and I would truly belong to 2 different worlds. Rebirth hadn't given me enough time to build my empire yet, and being looked down upon stung. But give me a year, and I knew I'd crush my first financial milestone. Mr. Harrison laughed. A booming, genuine sound. You're straightforward, not beating around the bush like those corporate sycophants. You're right, my empire will eventually go to Harper, but she's too soft-hearted to run the Harrison Group. I need someone to stand beside her and hold the fort. If that person only has love and no ambition, I will never approve of the marriage. He crossed his arms, looking like a true titan of industry. Here is my bottom line. Within 3 years, you need to make $1 billion. He stared at me intensely. If I accepted, he would secretly pave the way for me. If I flinched, he would ruthlessly sever my relationship with his daughter. He had no use for a coward. Mr. Harris, I accept your terms. I'm a reincarnator with a photographic memory of the future. If I can't make $1 billion in 3 years, I might as well throw myself back in front of Chad's knife. I'd be a disgrace to the entire concept of rebirth. Mr. Harrison was stunned. He hadn't expected me to agree so fast, without even a hint of hesitation. Right at that moment, rapid footsteps echoed outside, and the door was thrown open. Grace burst into the room, panting heavily. Lily looked surprised. Grace? Weren't you flying back to Capital City this morning? What happened? Auntie, it's an absolute emergency. I have to talk to Mac. Mr. Harrison looked completely confused. Why is the CEO of a tech company looking for a high school kid like her life depends on it? He analyzed the desperate look in her eyes. Wait, does Grace have a crush on Mac? Impossible. Playing the role of the considerate uncle, he sighed playfully. All right, I guess I'm the third wheel here. I'll step out. You two talk. I looked at Grace, highly amused by the sheer chaos of the situation. Grace, what's with the panic? I chuckled, breaking the awkward silence as Mr. Harrison closed the door behind him. Grace rested her hands on her knees, panting heavily, and shoved her burning hot phone into my hands. Mac, are you kidding me? The Flawless Realm didn't just crash Tomato Novels servers. The 2 largest entertainment conglomerates in the country, and a top-tier Japanese animation studio, just called me directly. They want to buy the full adaptation rights. The price they offered, oh my god, it's enough to save my company 10 times over. I looked at the numbers dancing on the screen, the corner of my lips curling up. Sure enough, a masterpiece is a masterpiece in any era. But sell the rights outright? That wasn't how a future billionaire operated. Grace, I replied calmly, my eyes sharp. We're not selling outright. I want you to negotiate on my behalf. I'm keeping a 40% equity stake in all adaptation projects, anime, live action, and games. In return, I will invest the entire first round of licensing fees directly into Tomato Novels to restructure it into a multimedia entertainment empire. I will be the largest shareholder, and you will stay on as CEO. Grace was stunned. Standing in front of her right now wasn't a high school kid who just survived a stabbing, but a true old fox of the business world. She swallowed hard and nodded firmly. Deal. I'm getting to work right now. The hospital room door shifted slightly. Mr. Harrison stepped back in. He had been standing outside long enough to hear the entire exchange. The look he gave me now held not just approval, but a flash of sheer astonishment mixed with pride. That $1 billion bet in 3 years, it seemed this kid was going to clear it much sooner than he thought. 3 years later, on a massive LED screen in the middle of downtown, the trailer for Season 2 of the blockbuster anime The Flawless Realm was broadcasting, drawing millions of eyes. The logo of M&H Entertainment Group sat proudly on screen as the primary producer and global distribution platform. Across the street, in a dingy coffee shop, Chloe stood in a messy waitress uniform, staring blankly up at the screen. Her eyes were etched with deep exhaustion and absolute crushing regret. After the incident with Chad, the Sterling family went bankrupt, and he was currently rotting in prison, serving a 10-plus-year sentence. As for Chloe, embroiled in scandals and isolated by her peers, she had failed her college entrance exams. Her family had also taken a massive hit after her father's business collapsed. Vivian, her former best friend, had vanished into thin air long ago. What are you staring at? Did you finish wiping down table 4? The manager's bark yanked Chloe back to reality. She ducked her head, hurriedly hiding the newspaper she was holding. On the front page was a photo of Mac, now one of the youngest billionaires in the world, holding hands with his radiant fiancée, Harper, at their engagement party of the century. He was wearing a perfectly tailored suit, his smile radiating confidence and power, a smile that, once upon a time, had been reserved solely for her. Chloe bit her lip until it bled, salty tears falling freely onto the grimy table. Her heart felt like it was being shredded by 1,000 shards of glass. She had once possessed the brightest diamond in the world, only to throw it into the mud with her own hands to chase after a worthless pebble. Now, she could only live out the rest of her life in suffocating regret, looking up at the man she once trampled on as he stood at the absolute pinnacle of success. At that exact moment, on the top floor of the corporate tower, I was hugging Harper from behind, looking out at the dazzling city lights together. Mac, you really are amazing. Harper rested her head gently against my shoulder, smiling. My dad was grumbling yesterday about how you made $1 billion in just 2.5 years, making him lose the bet. I tightened my arms around her, kissing her soft hair. The promise I made in that hospital room years ago, I had fulfilled it, and even surpassed expectations. That's because you're my lucky star, I whispered. In my past life, I lived like a fool, sacrificing everything for a childish promise only to receive a bitter death in return. But in this life, fate gave me a second chance. I crushed those who stood in my way, found the girl who truly deserved my love, and wrote the perfect ending to my own story. The true cheat code of rebirth wasn't my photographic memory. It was learning to value myself and seize my own real happiness. And the novel of my life, from this moment on, was finally starting its most brilliant chapters.